Tonight, just about 2 hours left to vote in the primary election as voters head to the polls to cast their ballots for local and national races.
Polls close at 7 o'clock this evening, but remember, if you are in line by 7, you can still vote. This is a live look now at the Metropolitan Multi-Service Center located on West Gray Street, one of the most popular voting locations in Harris County, definitely inside the loop. You can see a line of voters there waiting outside to cast their vote. We've been keeping our eyes on the line, and it has been moving slowly but surely.
And we have crews spread out across the Houston area covering some of the notable local races tonight, starting with Adam Bennett, who's at Election Central. Adam, Harris County election officials say it is going to be a busy night.
No doubt, Lynn. You know, normally the election supplies would be coming into Energy Arena, also where they would normally be counting votes. But of course, this time of year, the rodeo is there. So instead, Central Count will be here at the Elections Technology Center. Now, a short time ago this afternoon, we heard from County Clerk Tanisha Hudspeth. She gave us an update on how the day has been going. At last check, more than 95,000 people had voted in person today on Election Day. That's on top of more than 200,000 people who voted early, both in person and by mail. Now, after 7 tonight, once the last voter in line has cast their ballot at each polling site, election judges will close the site and bring their supplies to one of 6 rally sites.
Harris County is the 3rd largest county in the nation and the largest county in the state of Texas. As a matter of fact, we're larger than several states put together. I think about 5 or 6. And so it's not a good practice to have everybody come to one location for various reasons.
Today, County Clerk Tanisha Hudspeth says her office has gotten 800 calls from election workers, mostly on equipment usage. From the public, they've gotten another 200 calls. A lot of those are looking for information about where to vote or how to send in their mail ballot. Overall, the clerk says today has been a really smooth election. Now, there have been some hiccups, including with State Representative Jarvis Johnson, who's running for the state Senate. He said that he couldn't find his own name on the ballot. Well, it turns out the clerk's office says that an election judge scanned the wrong precinct code, which brought up the wrong ballot. That issue, we're told, has since been fixed, and extra staff were put at that site to make sure that nothing else happens incorrectly there going forward. Len?
You talk about hiccups, Adam. Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg, who is running for a 3rd term, says she had trouble voting earlier today. Ogg telling KHOU 11 News when she tried to vote, someone had already voted in her name. Here's the deal. It turns out her partner, who voted last week, had mistakenly been listed under Ogg's name, but apparently didn't notice the error. While Ogg and her partner live at the same address, they do not share a last name. The issue has been fixed and Ogg was eventually able to vote, but she says it should have never happened in the first place.
I really would like to ensure that people who live in the same household and are casting votes are actually being counted. That's my concern.
The Harris County clerk says this appears to be an isolated incident.
And today, voters will decide who will face Senator Ted Cruz in the U.S. Senator's race in November. Marcelina Benito here now in studio with a look at his potential challengers. Marcelina.
Yeah, this is one of the races we'll be watching very closely tonight. Democrats view Cruz's seat as a potential pickup in November. The odds of that could largely depend on who wins the Democratic primary this evening. This is a crowded primary field, 9 candidates in all. But the top contenders are Congressman Colin Allred and State Senator Roland Gutierrez. Now, I spoke to both candidates in the last 48 hours, both men telling me they're the best person to take on and defeat Ted Cruz in November. The latest UH polling has shown Allred with a significant lead, but with so many candidates, it's unclear if Allred can get over that 50% threshold. Gutierrez really competing for a spot in the runoff tonight. Our political analyst says he's got a shot.
Don't count Gutierrez out. He is a verified, strong campaigner. And the fact that he's got a Latino surname definitely increases his visibility in places like El Paso and the Valley and among some quarters and big urban areas in Texas where he could get a sizable and surprising percentage of the Latino vote, which might give him a chance to be able to compete again in a primary.
Cruz narrowly won re-election back in 2018 over Beto O'Rourke. Tonight, he has a primary race of his own. Cruz facing 2 other little-known GOP candidates who gained 0 traction. The senator expected to win his primary tonight in a blowout. Back to you.
All right, Marcelino, thank you. Another key race we are keeping an eye on is the one between longtime Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and Amanda Edwards. Edwards, who once, by the way, interned for Jackson Lee, is now trying to unseat her in District 18. Lee has held that seat for 3 decades. Anieli Ruiz is covering Jackson Lee's campaign tonight. Anieli, this could also be a tight race.
Well, that's right. That's what polls are predicting. Now, Sheila Jackson Lee was just here at this humble location at the library doing some last-minute meet and greet with voters, shaking those hands. That's because, just like you mentioned, it's a very tight race. Now, according to a University of Houston political science, public school of affairs poll there at the Hobby School, they found that 43% plan to vote for Sheila Jackson Lee, while 38% plan to vote for Amanda Edwards. 16% said they're not sure who they're going to support, meaning those undecided voters could hold the key on who takes this seat. Here's what the Congresswoman had to say about that.
I'm excited because, first of all, when you have competition, it makes you better. It makes you reflect on the work and the service that you've done and the goals that you have if and when you're reelected.
Now, Sheila Jackson Lee does have that name ID in her favor. She's been in this congressional seat for decades, since 1995, and just a few months ago she was running for mayor of the city of Houston but lost to John Whitmire. Now, she had just visited, she said, about 10 polling locations. She plans to visit a few more, and then she'll head to her watch party in East End, and that's where we'll be tonight, of course, covering this and following this very closely. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, we'll have to see if her dominance continues in this district, or will there be an upset? Anieli, thank you.
Well, let's send it over now to Stephen Going, who is covering Sheila Jackson Lee's opponent, Amanda Edwards. Stephen.
Mia, it's been said before tonight, but this is expected to be a very close race, with Amanda Edwards attempting to unseat long-term incumbent Sheila Jackson Lee. And these candidates are no stranger to one another. As Len said earlier, Amanda previously interned for Sheila Jackson Lee in the past. Today, Edwards is an attorney, and she was a member of the Houston City Council from 2016 to 2020. She also briefly ran for Houston mayor, but dropped out last summer to run for this seat in Congress. She has spent much of her campaign talking about wanting to bring new leadership to this district. When KHOU caught up with Edwards today at a polling place, she said that was the message she wanted voters to remember.
Making sure they know to vote for the change on the ballot this election cycle. We've been represented for the past 30 years by the incumbent, and I think residents are ready for change. They're ready for different and new results.
Now, Edwards and her supporters will be watching the election results tonight at this theater behind me. We'll be keeping an eye on all of that as well as the night progresses. Len, Mia, back to you.
All right, Stephen Going reporting for us. Thank you so much. Want to give you a live look now at our cameras positioned at voting centers in Harris, Fort Bend, Montgomery, Brazoria, and Galveston counties. These centers will be busy tonight tallying up votes. We're going to monitor them all night long. We'll bring you special live election night results on air and online at khou.com. And for everything you need this election day, just text the word VOTE to 713-526-1111.
All right, out to